Hello everyone, it's Michelle. I'm the Contentment Guide. I am a Western tropical whole sign astrologer. I work mostly with Hellenistic and also bring in some modern techniques. Today I'm going to talk about the full moon in Gemini on 27 November, and it is a very dynamic full moon. But let's get present, and then I will share all the details of this full moon, and I will also share my I Ching reading that I did throwing coins. So I'm gonna just play my Tibetan bell so that we can all get present, and then I will start. Take a few deep breaths. Beautiful. So yes, back to the full moon. Very dynamic full moon this. Full moon in Gemini. Gemini is the twins. Gemini rules decisions and opposites. Gemini's ruler is Mercury, and Mercury is all about the mind and decisions and commerce and all things that can be quite busy and in the mind, a lot of thinking. It can be around a lot of conversation. So the moon is in Gemini, and the sun is sitting in Sagittarius. The sun at this moment is still conjunct Mars, and has been traveling with Mars for quite a bit. So that brings some extra fire to Sagittarius at the moment. Sagittarius is a fire sign, but with Mars being the fiery planet and conjunct to the sun, it brings extra fire into that part of the chart at the moment. And Mercury is also in Sagittarius and also in that fiery energy. So with all of this going on, there could be a lot of feeling of a need to move forward, a need to change, the feeling of a need to leave old things behind. As being a full moon, feeling a culmination of certain things. And with Gemini being an air sign and the moon sitting in Gemini, like I said, the mind can be very busy, a lot of conversations can be had, and the challenging part about this full moon is that Mercury, who is the ruler of this full moon, is currently in a direct square to Neptune in Pisces. Now, Neptune is a beautiful energy. Neptune can be the energy of higher love, of expansion, of real spiritual enlightenment, of wonderful imagination. But Mercury in a more challenging way, Neptune in a more challenging way, can also be those energies of kind of driving through the fog. You're in your car, you're in this thick fog, you're moving forward, but you can't really see exactly where you're going. Neptune can bring that energy as well. So with Mercury being in a square to Neptune, that is a more challenging configuration. Squares are of the nature of Saturn, so there can be a bit more conflict with the fiery energy happening in Sagittarius, and with Mars conjunct to the Sun. There could be this feeling of really wanting to move forward, but with this square to Neptune, things could feel a bit unclear. And so it kind of feels like this is a time to not really make drastic decisions, to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to just really suddenly leave things behind and choose different things. This is definitely a time where more discernment is required, more inwardness, almost like a new moon, is required to really feel your way forward and get past this fogginess of this square to Neptune. So there is also a square between Mars, the Sun, and Saturn. Saturn is still sitting at almost 1 degree of Pisces, and so even more so with this square to Saturn, there can be a real feeling of stop-start energy, because Mars is the one that wants to get going, it wants to move forward, it wants to choose new things, and Saturn can say, no, we're not there yet, this is not going to work, see a different option. So yeah, so all of these square energies, they're quite challenging, honestly, at this point in time. So yeah, not the easiest full moon, because Mercury is also in its detriment in Sagittarius, so it needs to work a lot harder to get its energy across, to bring that good communication, to bring that clarity of thought and mind. So yeah, that is the full moon in Gemini right now. So I'm also going to tell you about my I Ching reading for this full moon. So I threw the coins and got hexagram 9, and hexagram 9 is called, in my book of translation, small accumulations. So it says take the long view, which really speaks so well to what I just said in terms of where the planets are. It's like things are not clear to make hasty decisions right now. So taking the long view and still maybe sussing things out right now is definitely a better energy. Confronted with many things at once, this is the Gemini energy. A lot of dynamism, a lot of things happening at once, and all the small things that you are confronted with at the moment are related. The hexagram says, be flexible and adaptable. Think of life right now as growing a crop, and time and patience is required. It's a more yin energy. It's a more staying in the flow, seeing what is going to happen. Accumulate with gentleness. So it's kind of the opposite of this very fiery Mars conjunct the Sun energy. But it really speaks to the Mercury square to Neptune. Excuse me. Focus on the inherent beauty of each little thing in your life. Through this, you will get clarity. The clouds are still spreading, and the rain has not yet come. something important returns to you and you are pulled back to it. This is the second line. That was a changing line. So there might be something that shows up from the past, a person, an experience, a choice that you need to think about again. And this kind of relates to the fact that Mercury is just past the first shadow degrees of where it will retrograde back to. So the Mercury retrograde will start on the 12th of December, and it will retrograde, it will start its retrograde in Capricorn and then retrograde back to Sagittarius. So this also speaks to that energy of reviewing, thinking again about past choices made, and seeing if they were correct, or if some adaptation is necessary or some changes are necessary. So that is a very, very valuable insight. So then this hexagram 9 changes into hexagram 37. And this is called the dwelling clan. And this is to do with the people that you are surrounded by. People in your work, people in your home. It says working with others is very important right now. Take care of relationships with people in your home and your workspace. Dwell in the yin energy. Be with the flow. See what is needed. Don't make any rash decisions right now. Stay flexible and adaptive. You will get further in the flexibility and adaptive energy. Clarity arrives through flexibility. Roles should be very clear and should be defined for each person in your home or in your workspace. This brings clarity. I think that's a really beautiful message. I think things can be so much more blurry in any kind of relationship when there isn't clarity, when there isn't boundaries, when people at work don't have clear job descriptions. Clarity is required through flexibility. So yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful message. And when we move into the third quarter moon in about a week from now, we're also gonna have let me just open that up. We're gonna have our square between Venus and Pluto. So in this next week or more, it also definitely speaks a lot to relationships. Venus being in Libra, square to Pluto, it can take things very deep. It can really ask you to find more clarity into what the roles are and what you want from each relationship in your life, being it at work or at home or romantic or platonic, all kinds of relationships. So yes, I will be very honest, this is a very changeable and dynamic time. Not the easiest full moon, but I think it can bring real change in a positive way if we are willing to look at ourselves and look at the roles of how we show up for others, how others show up for us. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful full moon, and find your inner center. Stay grounded. Stay in that yin energy that the I Ching was speaking to. Find your flow. Don't try and be too harsh or rush forward too fast, and you will get through this full moon and the weeks that follow in a beautiful way.